The following is a presentation of the IH Sports Network. You're listening to the Monday Night Roundtable. For the next 2 hours, we'll talk local high school sports with the voice of the Oneida Indians, Tim Smith.
10-5, touchdown, Indians.
Give me the corners, 2 scores, baby.
Give me the corners.
The voice of the Scott Highlanders, Rick Keaton.
Throw the ball, has a receiver, long upfield, chasing it down. Catch made by Rylan Griffith. He'll take it all the way to the end zone.
Produced by the IH Sports Network, the Roundtable begins now.
Good Monday evening, everyone. Welcome to the Roundtable on the IH Sports Network alongside the voice of the Indians, Tim Smith, and the voice of the Highlanders, Rick Keaton. I'm Ben Garrett. We are live from the C. Michael Lake Technology Center in Hellwood. Thank you for joining us tonight. We got a great lineup coming your way tonight, a jam-packed lineup coming your way tonight, and we're going to start off with football and talking about what happened on Friday night as Oneida gets the district win over Wartburg, the region win, I should say, over Wartburg. Scott High went to Knox Central for the first road game of the year and fell. And Rick, I'm going to start over here with you. The Highlanders fall to Knox Central 44-3 in what was probably an outcome that not so much in terms of win versus loss, but just the score itself. I don't think anybody expected that.
Ben, nobody really expected it. And just on my notes, I'm going to set it up for you. Well, the Highlanders had some opportunities in that game. The first thing, Knox Central, they muffed the opening kickoff. Well, we got the ball at their 26-yard line. We lost a couple yards, missed a field goal attempt, so that was it. Central took over possession at the 20-yard line. 80 yards later, into the end zone, they had the 6-0 lead. On their ensuing kickoff, well, we muffed the kick return, and Central recovered. And as they did that, then they were able to get on into the end zone. And, with 4.5 minutes gone in the game, they led 12-0. And then it just didn't really get any better than that for the Highlanders. They had 2 more scores in the first half, leading 26-0 at halftime. Now, we did come out and probably play better in the second half. And for the game, the best statistic that I could really find was that we held Knox Central to only 1 2-point conversion out of 7 tries. You think I'm stretching that to try to find the good point, and that is a real good point. We did hold them to only 1 out of 7 attempts. Defense, we got pushed around again. We gave up 242 rushing yards in the first half to Central. And matter of fact, they didn't have any passing yardage, so it was all on the ground. They came at us. The line moved our defense out of the way real well, and their backs just ran very hard. So, those are some of the things. And then you look at the end of the game, and suddenly the last 2 games we have been outscored 89-3. I don't want to say that they were carbon copy games, but between what Central did Friday night and then 2 Fridays ago, the same thing happened with Clinton. They pushed us around, they leaned on us, and we've got to figure out a way to either get better defensively, which we thought was great the first 2 games. So now we've got to get better against the stronger teams that we're playing, or our offense has to move the ball. And we tried throwing the ball the other evening. Didn't have very much success in that. If I'm looking here, our longest pass play was 26 yards. We had 2 14-yard rushing plays. And, those are not big plays. If you put those together on one touchdown drive, then it's an important thing. But it was not. It's spread out through the course of the entire ball game. So offense, to me, is maybe more important right now than defense is. I don't want to keep giving up 40-something points a game, but I also feel that unless we're going to get on the board with 21, 28, 35 points ourselves, the finding a way to win is going to be very hard unless we can, and not field goals, but we've got to get actual touchdowns on the board. So, to pinpoint exactly what's wrong, the biggest thing I come away from is just the fact that the higher classification teams, ironically, are pushing us around. Even though Knox Central, their enrollment, 9 to 12 enrollment's only 765. So that's just right in the same area as the Highlander program. So, I mean, obviously they must get bigger, better kids. Obviously they were bigger, and by the score, obviously they were better. Now, could we go back up there again and play and do better? Probably not. I mean, I hate to say that because I like to wear my red through and through, and I'm really, for years and years and years, been behind the Highlander program. And I want to see the young men do well. I want them to have a chance to exceed on Friday nights. I want them to have a chance for some to go play college ball. I want our coaching staff to be good and solid and to keep recruiting young men in from our middle schools. And we can have some continuity year after year. And our schedule, sometimes our region schedule doesn't help us. This year is probably one of the better regional schedules that we've had in years. With or without Alcoa there. That doesn't make any difference. I mean, Alcoa, in Class 3A last year, they won a state championship, but we played in Class 4A, but our region opponent, Anderson County, won a state championship. So you take the one game or one team off the top, then others are certainly winnable. It's like this week, we want to be competitive with Kingston. We certainly want to be competitive with Union County. We want to be competitive with Austin East. Those are the other region games that we've got coming up starting this week and then the last half of our schedule. So I want us to get better, and I want our youngsters to feel like they have accomplished something and not just go through the motions.
So Knox Central, first of all, a very good football team, and I don't want to take anything away from Knox Central. When I say that the score was not what we expected, Knox Central was not at least what I expected. And when I saw them walk out on the field, I said, "Oh boy, they were huge, a lot bigger than what I thought they were." Had a clear size advantage, and then that showed up when they turned to the running game. Your point about offense, at one point to start the third quarter, it was 26-0. Scott High had gotten the ball into the red zone in the first half and didn't punch it in. They had the ball back down there to start the third quarter and were unable to punch it in. You get both of those scores on the board, and despite the fact that Knox Central had moved the ball really, really well, would have been a two-score game. That's not even accounting for the fact that Scott started the game after the muffed kickoff at the 26-yard line. A little bit of continuity on offense, and that would have been a different ball game. So it's like close. Just some minor adjustments are needed, and if some things start clicking, then a game like Knox Central could have. I'm not saying it would have been the difference in a win or a loss, but it certainly would have been a much closer game.
The strategy can change for the coaches at that point in time. What they are, instead of just trying to figure out a way to hold on, now suddenly they can become more aggressive on both sides of the ball. So, I mean, I've said it for years, it's about when a penalty occurs, a big penalty that you think has changed everything. Stop the drive, taking a touchdown off the board that you really needed. Sometimes it's not that the penalty is actually called, that it actually happens to you, or even a turnover at an inopportune time. It's when they occur. You know, if it occurs in the first quarter, hopefully you've got 3 more quarters to overcome it. If it happens in the third quarter, fourth quarter, the time is running down, and the broadcast group just down the table from us the other night, I heard them say real loud when they scored the touchdown. I think they got that 44-3 lead maybe at that time. Might have been 44-0. They said, well, now the clock can start running continuously. And, you know, that was sort of their goal. And there's still some things that they do in Kentucky that I'm still muffled by, and one of those is that point differential, obviously more than 35, and that the coaches can go outside the 25 to 25 coaching box or player box right there and can go all the way down, because I watched our replay and I thought, well, our coaches are going down to the 10-yard line too. I kept complaining about that, but obviously it's a difference that the officials or the rules in the state of Kentucky are, even though they should be pretty close to the same because everybody's following the National High School Federation rules. So anyway.
All right, so Scott High falls to Knox Central 44-3. We're going to talk about this week's game. It's homecoming, by the way, at Scott High. They've got Kingston coming in, a big rivalry game. We'll talk more about that as we get later into the night. Tim Smith, we're watching Scott High against Knox Central, and things aren't going well, and I'm keeping up with watching the Oneida game and watching your all's broadcast, and it's 12-0. Wartburg has just ripped off a 95-yard touchdown. Caden Rector's hurt. He's out of the game. It looked like it was not going to be a good night for football in Scott County, and then things flipped.
Yeah, and I was just thinking as you guys were talking about just trying to string good things together. You know, if you can just, like the muff kick you all recover on the 26, if you could have just strung a couple more good things together, it's such a narrow difference in football, if you do or you don't. I think about our game against Coalfield. We couldn't string a good thing together. I don't remember really one good thing to even try to get the string started. Wartburg came out and started stringing good things together. They had a plan. They were doing well with it, and they were running the football, and they were controlling the line of scrimmage, and they did it well for the better part of the first 2 quarters, and they just continued to do that. And defensively, they were trying to bend, not break, trying to give Oneida some things, but nothing big, and that was working for them. And sometimes we tend to go for the big and not for the smaller, but then also we're trying to get a running game together, so we weren't able to string good things together. Wartburg was stringing good things together. They couldn't get the extra points, so we're at 12-0, and like you said, and then Caden gets hurt on the sideline. And, the way he went down and they took him back to the locker room, I was thinking, well, Caden's probably his high school career may be done. That's what my fear was, and I think everybody in the box, that was the same thing we were all thinking. And then Gabe Brennan comes in as the backup quarterback and just slowly, steadily moves Oneida down the field for a score to kind of settle things out. I don't know if Wartburg relaxed because the starting quarterback was out. I would like to give more credit than that to Gabe Brennan. Something I said to Coach May, he almost took offense to it. Maybe almost isn't even the word. But when I said, Gabe, obviously he approaches practice like it's important, and he was ready to come in tonight. And Coach May said, I demand that of all my players. So, I can believe that because Gabe was ready to go.
6 out of 6.
Came in, just calm. They were able to mix the pass and the run. He was hitting different receivers. He was taking what Wartburg gave him. He got points on the board. And then had we had a little bit more time, he might have tied that thing or with an extra point given us the 1-point lead because time expired. We were inside the 15, I believe, when the clock expired. So then you come back out, and I know we were standing upstairs all looking for inside information, what's going on with Caden, what do we think? And somebody said, Tristan just came back up and sat down in the seats. So we were like, okay, well, it must not be that he's going to be done. So I said it in the postgame. I really feel like the way Caden came back out, and I could be wrong. He can tell me someday. I've speculated twice now openly about this, but I feel like he thought, what if that's it? Because when he came back out, he had a renewed sense of purpose, and he really was an incredible quarterback, running, throwing, doing everything, decision-making that we've become used to in that second half. So Wartburg, valiant effort. I think they're a little bit too thin. They had guys going both ways, offensively, defensively, and where that was their strength in the first half, it really wore out in the second half. And they have some really good linemen down there, and the coach is doing a good job with them. And it is a shame when you think about the numbers like you're talking about, that you have these numbers at a school, and it's hard to get even depth and get players out. But you look at Coalfield, and they've got the number.
They're the opposite of that.
Yeah, they've got the numbers, or South Pittsburgh, whoever you want to talk about, these little single-A schools that have small numbers and are able to just roll out teams like that. So you have to respect what they're doing. But I think Wartburg, it was a great effort, and they're going in the right direction. They just need to get some more guys on board on that program. I think Oneida, we'll see. Did that halftime in that situation wake us up for the season, or will we come back out Friday and take things for granted again? Because this Polk County team that we're going to go down to Benton and play, first ever matchup between these two teams, they're going to run the football on a wing tee, and so they want the game to go fast, and they're good at it. That's all they've ever done, and so that's what we know what they're going to do. Question is, can we stop that? And then the other part is, what's our offense look like? Is the offense going to continue to click? Because if you can get a win against Polk County and you're sitting mid-season at 4-1, that's pretty good. You've still got big games ahead. You're talking about probably making the playoffs and trying to play for a home playoff game. But if you go to Benton Friday night and aren't ready from the very beginning of it, then you're going to come away in a tough situation. So I'm interested to see what the Oneida reaction. Are we going to see what Oneida looked like in the first half against Polk County, or are we going to see that second half Oneida that we saw? Did they get a wake-up call? And, they played a lot of exciting football in that second half and a lot of big stats. And, I know Ben Gilbert, you said we broke a rule by him getting the player of the week. So we try to honor several people in that, but I mean, Ben was just so on a mission in that second half. He got the back-to-back hello darlings, basically, and nobody ever done that, so we had to go with him. Ben's just he flings that body out there without abandon, and he's taken on. He's really leading that defense. The defense turned around, and I think he's kind of become a little bit of the heartbeat of that. And so I'm excited to see what happens Friday night, because this is a good team. Polk County's a good team.
Mm-hmm. Polk County, one of those teams that a lot of people thought would be in the running for a regional championship, and could be. All right, so Oneida gets the win over Wartburg 33-18. We're going to talk a little bit more about that trip to Polk County as we go through the night. We're here at the C. Michael Lake Technology Center until 8 o'clock tonight. We still got a lot to come. We're going to hear from Ben Gilbert and Gabe Brennan. We're also going to hear from Mason Eckers at Scott High School. A lot still to come, but next we're going to flip over to soccer. We're going to talk to Oneida Lady Indian seniors Emily Sexton and Jalen Anderson right after this. Welcome back to the Roundtable on the IH Sports Network, live from the C. Michael Lake Technology Center in Hellenwood with Tim Smith and Rick Keaton. I'm Ben Garrett, and we're flipping to soccer now as we're joined by two of the many seniors from Oneida. We've got Jalen Anderson and we've got Emily Sexton. And so, guys, let's jump right into it and talk about this fantastic season that you guys are having. And I want to ask you first, because there were a lot of shifts this year on the field. Coach Phil Newport moving pieces around, getting everybody where he wanted them to maximize the talent he's got. So tell us, and we'll start with you, Jalen. Tell us the role that you're playing on this team.
I'm play left back.
Okay.
So I played defense all 3 years. I got to stay where I wanted to, which was good. I'm not the best communicator, but, working on it, trying to be a leader this year.
All right, and Emily, you were playing more of an offensive role this year.
Yeah.
Talk about your role.
I switched from wing to forward, back and forth.
Okay.
And I've played there ever since I started playing soccer.
Okay, so we are in the midst of a 4-game winning streak for Oneida. You guys have won, am I right? You've won 4 in a row. You've won 5 of your last 6. Now, Jalen, I'm going to start with you over here, because the key part to me of this streak that you guys are on has been your defense, because 4 out of the 5 games that you've won, you haven't surrendered a single goal. The one game you did give up a goal, that was against Oliver Springs. You gave up 1 goal. So in 5 wins in the last 6 games, you get up a total of 1 goal. That starts with you guys on the defensive end of the field. What has been the secret to your success?
Allie has moved back to sweeper, and she plays really well back there, and she helps us out. And Ayla also communicates well back there to help us see things that we might not see.
Okay. And it's not all the defense. You guys have gotten it going offensively as well. Jillian Cross has been doing really well. You scored a couple of goals as well. What have you done on the offensive end of the field to get it going? Because to start the season, those goals were hard to come by, but now you're finding ways to get the ball in the net.
At the beginning of the season, we were just weren't really playing as a team at all. We just didn't connect our passing. We didn't communicate at all. And I'm not the best communicator because I'm just really quiet on the field, and I don't really say much. But Jillian's gotten really good at communicating and really, really good at noticing where to pass and who she thinks would do the best.
And as I look at your schedule ahead, as I said, you've won 5 out of 6. Coach Newport said before the season, and then after the season began, he kept saying, if we can just get through the front end of this thing, get through these big schools like Sevier County and Dixon County, then it sets up nicely for us. Now we're finding that to be true. And as I look at this schedule ahead of you, you guys have got a shot to be riding a long winning streak when you get ready to face Kingston in a few weeks. And as everybody knows, that is the game that is circled this year. No longer Cumberland Gap, because Cumberland Gap's not in your district. Kingston's what it's going to come down to for a regular season championship, and I dare say probably in the postseason as well in the district tournament. What do you got to do between now and then to get ready to face Kingston? Either one of you.
I think we have to connect better and communicate with each other really well, or else we're not. Because when we played Kingston in preseason, we didn't connect at all. We just kind of let Kingston do their thing, and we didn't defend them or anything.
And your season starts, the district season continues. You were 2-0 in the district. Tomorrow night you got Harriman at Harriman. I think that's a 6 o'clock start. Am I right about that? You guys don't know, do you? You just
No.
get on the bus and go play.
Yeah.
So Harriman tomorrow night. Now I'm gonna say this. Harriman got you guys at a preseason play day, and I think both of you and me and probably everybody on your team would agree y'all didn't have a good day. That was by far not your best day. I think you guys will be ready for Harriman tomorrow. What are you going to do differently to get Harriman?
I think that on our play day that day, we just were not a team. Like, we did not communicate. I don't ever remember hearing anybody communicate on the field. And I think that because we're starting to communicate and starting to learn each other better, that we're really going to use that to our advantage.
And you guys, Rick and Tim, y'all chime in.
I just want to make an observation. Coach Newport has to be very proud, in my opinion, of you guys sitting here, because every answer you have given has had to do with your communication. And it sounds like that has been his key, what he's talked about, and it is certainly sunken in with you ladies. You're taking, sometimes you can have coaches say things and it just rolls off or whatever, but I'm getting the message here that Coach Newport's done a good job of getting this across to you guys, that the communication was the key. And you believe that because you keep talking about it, and it's turned the season around, right? I mean, you've started getting some wins out of that. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Coach Newport for and to you guys, because you listened to what he said, and you're taking that criticism and not getting upset about it, or not paying attention to it. But like you said, you guys by nature, you're probably more quiet, right? But you're getting out of that comfort zone, because that's what it's going to take for this team to win. And I see that. I hear you saying that. And I think that's the difference. So I think that leadership of listening to the coach and doing what he's saying, I think that's the reason you're having this stretch of success. So I just wanted to point out, I heard that. Didn't really that wasn't a question, but I hope it was a compliment, because I think it's impressive that you're coachable like that, and that you guys are doing whatever it takes to win.
So the last couple of weeks, I don't know if you guys watch us when you're not on here. I hope you do, but if you don't understand. But as I've talked to some of these Scout High players, I've told them that things were being said before the season. People are actually saying, I don't think this team will win a game this year, and they've proven their doubters wrong. I don't know that anybody told me I don't think Oneida will win a game, but I heard it was going to be terrible. Oneida was so down this year, and it was going to be such a tough season, and here you sit, you've won 5 out of 6. Does that surprise you at all?
At the beginning of the season, I kind of expected it to be hard, but I don't know. I just kind of expected us to kind of get back into our groove real quick.
How about it, Jalen? Are you surprised by your success, or did you expect this?
I'm surprised. We lost a lot of key players this year, and I knew we had to piece it back together. But we've got some new girls that are really helping out this year as well.
That actually leads me into my next question, which was going to be, if you had to pick one player on your team. You guys are seniors, so you've been with this program now for 4 years, and you've watched this thing develop. You've watched the players that have come and have gone. If you had to pick one player that has really stepped up this year, that was kind of maybe even unexpected, or maybe you expected it, who would that player be?
I think Emma stepped up a lot this year. She started playing that center defender, and I know she's not played there, but she's playing it really well, and she's starting to be more vocal as well.
Emma Hamilton.
Yes.
Emma Hamilton vocal?
A little bit, yeah. You can hear her a little bit.
Are you buying that, Tim Smith?
Sure. She's earned my respect. If she says it, I'm with it.
All right. Emma Hamilton, by the way, another one of the seniors on the team. What's your pick?
I'd probably pick Jillian Cross. She's gotten very, she can just read us all very well, I feel like.
And she has definitely become the offensive centerpiece.
Yes.
So if the question was, how do you replace Aaliyah Douglas and all the goals that she scored over the past 4 years, obviously you don't replace her. But Jillian has done a nice job becoming that kind of the focal point of the offense, hasn't she?
Yeah.
I've just got one more question now, and I'm learning soccer, okay? So I may mess this up, and you just say, that's a stupid question, I'm not going to answer it. But if I understand right, Allie used to be more offensively she used to be used more offensively. She's moved defensively, which is a sacrifice a little bit, or a lot really, of the glory of scoring a goal or having the chance to score. How much has that meant, her willingness to step back defensively, because Coach Newport needed her there, and you talked about how it helps defensively, her and Ayla and the communication. And how big is it that she was willing to do that and didn't get upset that she wasn't going to be up front and getting shots on goal anymore? Was that a big deal?
It was a big deal, yeah. Allie really wanted to play offense. She wanted to score, but she was willing to make the sacrifice to help us as a team to be better this year and go further.
I mean, to me, that feels like an impressive thing too. As I've heard her talk about that, and you guys talk about that. But you've been one of the ones that has to step up and try to pick up some of that scoring load, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've done that.
Trying to, yeah.
All right. Well, keep it up.
And you've got 2 goals this year or 3 so far?
I think
You
it's 4.
4. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to underestimate you.
I might be pushing my limits.
You're
but I think it's
probably.
4.
I'm sure you're right. I'm sure you're closer to being right than I am. All right, so the Oneida Lady Indians have won 5 out of 6. You guys have got Harriman tomorrow night on the road. That is a district game. And then you got Corbin on Thursday night. That game will be at home for anyone that wants to get out and support you guys. Maybe you don't know a whole lot about soccer, never watched soccer. This is a good team. Good opportunity to get out and support the Lady Indians. Do you know the kickoff time of Thursday's game?
I have no idea.
I'm going to say
it's 6:30.
I'm pretty sure it's
Yeah.
6:30.
Yeah.
All right. Emily Sexton and Jalen Anderson, thank you guys for joining us. Good luck tomorrow night and good luck the rest of the season. We'll take another break. When we come back, we'll switch to Scott High soccer as we're going to talk to a couple of juniors from Scott High in Riley Lentz and Alyssa Crabtree right after this. The roundtable continues on the IH Sports Network. I'm Ben Garrett. He's Tim Smith. He's Rick Keaton. Greg Bond is back there behind the scenes making things happen. And we are joined now by Scott High juniors, Riley Lentz and Alyssa Crabtree. Guys, thank you all for joining us. I started to say a couple of the defenders, and I keep forgetting you're not a defender anymore. You're playing the forward role now, or one of the forward roles on the Scott High team. Started out a really successful season for you guys. Now, you hit a little bit of a speed bump last week with losses to Oliver Springs, and then I know Anderson County especially was one that stings a little bit. That was a 7-0 game. Probably was a lot closer than that. It was 4-0 at halftime, but an own goal and a penalty kick helped make it 4-0. And then in the second half, you guys had to go with your freshman goalie, and that's not to say anything negative about her, but it's tough to come in as a freshman. So Anderson County took advantage of the situation. With that said, I know you guys are itching to get back on track, and you're going to have an opportunity to do that in district play Thursday night against Clinton. Alyssa, let's start with you. What do you got to do to beat Clinton Thursday night?
Definitely put balls in the net, of course, and got to make sure we do not let up the middle like how we have been doing. And, just make sure our defense is a lot better than it has been. There is newer people back there. And, yeah.
So how about it, Riley? Defense has gotten shuffled around a little bit. Coach Eric Henry is trying to find the right pieces to go into the right places. Talk about that. How does that improve going forward?
Well, I think like the people that they moved in the back so far, because we moved Haley up and put Kyla back there, and she really wins balls a lot in the back. But mostly I think we need to break down and actually stop progression before they even get to the back so that they can score on Bella.
Let's talk about, now, Riley, you're a defensive player, and you have been ever since you were a freshman, and you came on. You actually began to start as a freshman, and you've kind of really become the anchor of that defense the last couple of years. Is that kind of where you knew you would be at when you got to high school?
Not necessarily. In middle school I did play midfield, but I played defensive mid. I didn't really expect for me to get moved to the back, and I definitely didn't expect to be starting there either, as a freshman.
But you've done a good job with it.
I mean, I think so, but
And Alyssa, you've kind of moved back and forth. You started on defense, and then you played in the front as well, and you've kind of settled in now on the front side because, according to Coach Henry, it's because he needs your speed up front. Now, I don't know if I ever necessarily considered you to be as fast as he does. Do you think that's a fair assessment?
I definitely don't think I'm that fast. Whenever we watch film, I look slow, but I guess, I don't know. I have long strides when I run, so I don't really know. I don't know why he thinks I'm that fast.
So if you had to pick offense or defense, which are you picking?
Definitely offense. I've loved it since I played it in middle school. I thought it was so fun. I love being able to go and try to shoot into the net and everything. And defense is very stressful, and I don't like all that stress on me.
You get yelled at sometimes when they get by you, don't you?
Yeah. And
so it's been, you guys have had a lot of shots. I say you guys, you and Ellie and Rachel probably primarily have had a lot of shot attempts, and you talked about you got to put the ball in the net to be the kind of team you want to be. Sometimes it's been a little tough to get the ball in the net. It's not from a lack of trying, and it's not for a lack of practice. You guys work on that after practice on your own, on your shooting and stuff like that. So at some point, though, this is going to start to click. When is that going to be, and how is it going to start to click?
I'm really hoping it starts to click very soon, mainly this Thursday, because we need to get as much district wins as we possibly can. And I think that's going to start clicking if we communicate better, because we haven't really been communicating that good, and it's pretty much pass the ball to each other on offense and everything, and have our midfields be able to send up balls to the forwards and everything to get those goals.
Now we're moving into a time of the year where you guys are kind of almost getting to take a break. I'm sure you're not going to really take a break because Coach Henry's not going to let you skip practice or anything like that. But you got just one game this week, and you don't have a game next week. So as you get ready for Clinton on Thursday night, no reason not to go give it your all, because you know this is the only game you got for a couple of weeks. What does it take to beat Clinton on Thursday?
I think we really need to improve on our communication, just because I know that some of our players will play defense on our own team, which is not very good. That's never good. And I think our offense does need to, like, communicate a little bit better up there, too, because they'll pass the ball and not pass with a purpose.
Now, we got to explore what you just said. Some of your players play defense on your own team. What does that mean?
They kick our own teammates instead of the other team. They didn't try to kick. They take the ball from out of your feet.
Really?
I can understand. That's a problem.
It would be a problem. It would be.
That's a problem.
Maybe you guys aren't sharing the ball enough, and they want their turn.
Well, that's why you communicate. Use words.
So you feel like you guys are good at communicating?
I mean, I'm not the best, but
I
we need to be better.
I could be better.
Alyssa, I'm going to ask you this. 2 weeks ago, when your teammates were on here, I was joking with them, and I was actually going to ask Rachel and Kinley when they were here last week, and I forgot. But I was joking to them about getting trucked by Alyssa Crabtree. I don't mean that in a bad way. You're one of my favorite players to watch because you play with reckless abandon. How many players have you trucked this year in practice?
Ooh, I don't really try to truck people during practice. I actually go.
So you save it for the game?
Yeah. I don't want to hurt my players. I used to not care, and I used to truck my players during my freshman, sophomore season, but this year I'm like, we need the numbers. So, I mean, I'm going to calm down.
Okay. So how many people have you trucked during a game?
I think the most people I've trucked during this season was CAK.
Okay. And by the way, when we say truck players, it's not like you're just saying, I'm going to go hit somebody.
Yeah.
You're just like, that's my ball, and I'm going to get it, and if you don't get out of the way, you're going to get hit. Is that kind of your approach?
Yeah, definitely.
And I would not be that brave. I would be afraid of getting hurt. How about it? Do you ever watch her play and think, my gosh, she's going to get hurt?
I don't ever think Alyssa's going to get hurt, not going to lie. She just runs into people and hopes she hits them and gets the ball.
And you played football in middle school. Have you ever thought about playing football at the high school level?
I did. I asked Coach Terry my freshman year, and he was kind of very iffy about it. And I was like, okay, then I won't play. And I didn't want to make it weird for my brother either, since my brother played. And personally, middle school football and high school football are two different things.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm definitely not going to be able to go against a 18-year-old man, pretty much. So.
You don't think so?
Mm-mm.
Trucking is different in the two sports, man.
I understand, but I don't know. I think she'd be a good linebacker for the Highlanders, I got to tell you.
Maybe on JV only, but.
Yeah, I want to ask him a question. What are your strengths? What do you think are the 2 or 3 things that I do real well on the soccer pitch?
Like something I do well?
Yeah. What's your strength and then Alyssa gets to tell us what her strengths are.
I mean, I'm not bad at sending balls out of the back, and I'm not amazing at dribbling, but I'm not like the worst defender when it comes to dribbling. And I think I'm one of the better defenders when it comes to passing, but that's pretty much it. I can run.
Well, I started to say
That's pretty much it.
You're also a track athlete, correct?
Yeah.
And a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Racking up
Indeed.
wins in the spring. Yeah.
And Alyssa?
I think my speed is probably one of my biggest thing, and being able and me just always wanting to go try to get the ball, and probably not letting people stake the ball from me either, because if they do, they die. But that's.
I don't want to put a lot of pressure on either one of you, but who would you like to see as some of your teammates in the second part of the season, remaining part of the season? Who would you like to really see step up and be big contributors? And Riley, you can name Alyssa, and Alyssa can name you, I guess, however it works. But who do you think really needs to step up?
We need the Jeopardy theme going right now.
Yeah, we do.
Probably.
And that's okay if you
Probably Abby Henson, honestly. I feel like she gets very discouraged very easily whenever Henry yells at her, and personally, I don't think she should get that discouraged because, I mean, I don't think he's meaning it in that bad, like in a bad way.
No, he just yells at everybody.
Yeah. And
me, the officials, everybody.
I just think she needs to, like, not try to let it get under her skin as bad as she does. Like, love her to death. I'm sorry if she's hearing this, but love you, girl, but, try not to be so soft.
Honestly, I think Aaliyah Jeffers, because she's been really good at midfield so far, and she's only a freshman, and I feel like she could definitely get more balls in the net than she's been trying to.
Aaliyah Jeffers has definitely been the surprise.
Yeah.
Someone who's come on as a freshman, done really well, and Coach Jake Wright says she's going to be pushing for time in basketball as well. So I think we'll be seeing.
I watched from both sports, basketball and
you're not
soccer
surprised, are you?
in middle school. No, matter of fact, I wish that she had, instead of a freshman, I wish she was a sophomore. But
all right, guys, before we let you all go, I asked the seniors when they were here to tell me the meanest senior on the team, because those seniors, they take their leadership role seriously, and they get after some of the younger players. And so far, it's been a mixed response. Some say Ellie, some say Rachel. I want the definitive answer from you guys as juniors. Who's the meanest senior on the team?
Ellie.
Ellie, for sure.
I agree. Definitely Ellie. All right. So you guys have got Clinton on Thursday. That is a home game. By the way, that is the next to last home game of the season. It's been a long homestand, 7 in a row, I think. You guys are getting ready to go on the road for a few weeks before you come back to end the season at home against Oneida. So if you want to see the Lady Highlanders at home, Thursday night against Clinton, kickoff is at 6 o'clock. Good opportunity to get out and do that. Alyssa Crabtree and Riley Lance. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. Good luck on Thursday and the rest of the way. We'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to switch back to football, and we're going to talk to our player of the game from this past Friday night. Welcome back to the Roundtable on the IH Sports Network, live from the C. Michael Lake Technology Center in Helenwood, along with Tim Smith. I've been Garrett. Rick Keaton has stepped aside. He's taking a break. We're joined by 3 Oneida football players. We've got our First National Bank Player of the Game for a second week in a row, Ben Gilbert. He's a sophomore. We've got our Trophy Masters lineman of the game, Cam Cass. He's a junior. And we've also got junior quarterback Gabe. Oh, my gosh.
Brandon.
Gabe Brennan. I cannot believe it. My mind just went blank. Okay. Gabe Brennan is here. Now, guys, before Tim starts grilling y'all, because I know he's got a tough list of questions for you, I got to say, Ben, I told your dad this morning at physical therapy, I said, every week we it's kind of a tradition. We have our player of the game on. And the first thing you told me was, can we bring Gabe on too? Because we would not have won the game without him on Friday night. All Gabe did, by the way, is come on and go 6-6 in the second quarter and engineer that first touchdown drive to turn things around. I just thought that was a good sign of leadership on your part, especially from a sophomore, Tim Smith.
Oh, yes, absolutely. All right, Ben, I'll take it here. Now I'm going to start with Gabe because, Gabe, I mentioned Coach May kind of almost got upset with me when I asked the question. I don't know if you saw the post game or not, but I said, Gabe, obviously he doesn't take practice lightly. He knows what he's doing because he came in and he was ready, and he said he doesn't allow people to take practice lightly. So I was corrected. I've noted that twice tonight, but it still was impressive to me because you didn't just come in, and a lot of times there's no trust in the backup quarterback to do anything more than just hand it off and get us to the half and see what happens with Caden. I mean, that could have been an easy thing, but that's not what Oneida did, and that's not what Coach May did. He trusted you to do that. Are you surprised that he trusted you that much?
No, they've prepared me very well for any situation like that. Like, I had to play in the scrimmage at Tech a lot because he got hurt.
Okay. And so now, and you all have had several JV games. I mean, you've taken snaps. You've done this before. So, but I have to say, I don't think I've seen anything quite like that at the high school level. Somebody come in, and for all we knew, you were about to be the quarterback for the rest of the year. Is that how you were
I thought so
approaching it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So now you started off running the football, but then it became time to put the ball in the air. What were your thoughts on that?
I was really nervous at the first. Like, if you see the first 2 plays, I could barely even get the handoff. But after the first throw, it was good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And now when you get the play going, and I know you look over the sideline or whatever, what's the coach telling you? Is he telling you who he thinks is going to be there, or do you have to go through progressions, or how does that work?
Mostly progressions, yeah.
Yeah. So talk about that first pass play, that first completion. How did that play develop?
I think it was a trailer it was a hitch to Riley Gibson.
Yep. Riley made a good catch.
He dropped
on
the
the
one earlier, so it was a good thing.
So you went back to him, gave him another shot.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Having faith. I'm coming back to Gabe. I'm going to go to. We've heard from Ben for 2 weeks in a row. We'll get him last. I'm going to Cam now. Cam, lineman of the week, and this was a very good line from Wartburg on both sides of the football, wasn't it?
Sir.
I mean, they had some big guys, and early on, it's 12-0. They've been pushing people around. Were you concerned at that point, or what was the concern? What had to be fixed to turn that around?
I started noticing they was getting tired, so I just kept the line up and told them to just keep pushing it down their throat, and eventually we'll just start taking over. And eventually we did, and then they couldn't do nothing.
So when the injury occurred and Gabe came in, does that change anything for you, or you just execute the same way?
Same way.
Same way. All right. And so it seemed like, I know Mark and John were talking about how their ends were able to get in and cut things off. Was there any adjustment made to prevent that from happening more?
Halftime we changed up a little blocking, so our tackle could get out to the ends, and I would get the defense tackle. So we did make some adjustments.
Okay, and you just kept on moving people
Mm-hmm.
down the field. Yeah, and you, like you say, I agree with you. I think they got a little bit tired, it seemed like. They were some big, strong guys, though, on the early going, weren't they?
It was some of the biggest I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, they were good players. All right, so now, Ben, so you were player of the game last week, and, you know, that makes you odds really low that you're going to get it again this week. But you came up at a point, and I can't remember if the first Hello Darling, what the score was.
27 to what was it? 27-13.
27-13. Okay, so you play some offense, but mostly you live on defense, and gave up 2 early touchdowns in that first half. What was the most disappointing thing about watching Wartburg punch that in twice in the first half for you?
The first one, it kind of killed us because it was off that horse collar penalty. So it was just, that shouldn't even be there, but it was. And the second one was just off a busted 95-yard play that, wouldn't happen twice.
They tried.
Yeah. But, they're just kind of, they're early on, it's just a kill or it kills your momentum, but we picked up on it eventually.
And the defense, of course, the Coalfield game was rough, both sides of the football, but defense pretty much has been the strength of this team so far this year. The offense has had its moments, kind of ups and downs offensively, but the defense has been pretty steady. And so having given up those first 12 points, kind of an unusual thing on homecoming night. And I hear, there's 4 times a year coaches talk about. This is not you guys saying this. This is me, okay? 4 times a year. They're like Fair Day. We hate Fair Week. We hate Homecoming Week. We hate Fall Break. We hate, I don't know, Halloween or something else. So there's always like 4 games that there's something that goes wrong that week. And I'm sure it's true because they all say it. But, I mean, did you feel like the week was so weird that it caused the beginning of that game to be weird?
It was like we were doing stuff all day long, and then I think in the first half we were just kind of, drained a little bit, but then Gabe came in and kind of put a fire back under us and got our, adrenaline going, I guess, and came out in the second half and played like we should have.
So, Gabe, back to you here on this. And so, I'm sure being backup quarterback, you and Caden are together during practice most all the time, probably pretty tight. But you had concern for him, right, when he went down. And so how do you just shake that off? And you got
my stomach dropped as soon as he came on the sideline. It was hurt. But I know I had to go in there and do my job.
Yeah, had everybody depending on you, didn't you? I mean, it was just an amazing performance, and I think everybody agrees on that it really did turn the tide. The defense started doing their job. You set things right there, and then Caden's able to come back in, and he played a game of football in those last 2 quarters, really, right? So going forward, what do you expect? Going through the rest of this season. Hopefully Caden doesn't get injured again, but if he does, how do you prepare going through the last 6 games
well,
here?
Hopefully I don't have to play. Hopefully Caden just, gets it done. But I guess
holding a lot of extra points, that'd be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No kidding. but probably just do my job, listen to my coaches, try to do the right thing every time.
Okay. All right. Now, I do want to address, you've got on a sweatshirt here. You're repping Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish. Had a big win this weekend over
NC State.
NC State. Yeah, I saw some people were picking NC State. So you're Notre Dame through and through?
Yep.
Have you ever been up to South Bend, watch a game?
I have.
Yeah? Did they win? Yeah. So are you going again this year? Or?
I hope so.
Yeah. All right.
Do we have to give Notre Dame airtime?
Absolutely. When you have the week that Gabe had last week, he can talk about Notre Dame or whatever he wants to.
But you've lived in Tennessee your whole life, so you like Tennessee just a little bit,
Just
right?
a little bit.
Okay.
All right.
Now, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to switch to Cam. Do you have something else
No,
for Gabe?
I do. We're going to come back to that.
I got you. Okay. So Cam, Notre Dame, what about him?
When Gabe went to that game, I went with him.
Yeah?
Yeah, so I had to buy
You got a little bit of Notre Dame?
Yeah, I bought some shirts and a hat. We had a fun time.
Is that your favorite team?
No.
Okay. Well,
smart guy.
So this week you've got the wing tee. That's going to involve something different for you, right? Preparation-wise, defensively, what are you going to have to do differently than dealing with Wartburg and the spread offense?
Kind of just got to tackle everything. Just stop the trap. If you stop the trap, you win pretty much out of that offense. If you see somebody, just tackle them. Someone's going to have the ball.
Ask questions later.
Yeah.
All right. I got to ask you this question, Cam. How did you become – this is not football, this is basketball. You have become the fan favorite in basketball. Why is that? Why are you the man? Ben could score probably coming up this year. Ben's going to come off the bench for 22 points some night. But if Cam comes in, that's who everybody cares about. Why is that? What is it about?
I guess nobody seen it out of me.
Yeah?
So, yeah, I just got the wild hair, and I just wanted to play.
Yeah. So are you doing it again this year?
No, I can't. That was –
So it was
it's one at a time.
So people better have enjoyed it while they had it, because it ain't happening again.
Nope.
All right. Well, Cam, best of luck the rest of the year, pushing people around and defensively Friday night. So, Ben, I do feel like you were the spark, the catalyst defensively. I feel like you can be. You impact the game defensively, and it's growing more and more every week. How fun is that?
It's fun, especially with Levi. Levi gets everybody going too. He's a big part of it. He gets me going. Sometimes it's just once 2 or 3 get going, the rest of the team will pick up and we'll play our best. But just gotta somebody's gotta start it off like Gabe started off the other night. Just put it under us and we took advantage of it.
Well, I mean, it was an amazing thing, and I think you're right. I think Gabe was the spark in that, and I think you picked it up defensively, shut things down, and so this week's going to be another big week. And since you were the player of the week twice in a row, and I forgot to ask you this, maybe this will be a change in the guard. Maybe you won't be here next week. Who do you think will be sitting in this chair next week as the First National Bank player of the game?
I give it to Limburger Levi probably.
Limburger Levi.
Yeah.
All right, we've got you on record for that. Ben, what do you got?
Well, first of all, I just want to say that I don't know if you realize this or not, but we have a representation of superstars here. Not these guys are becoming superstars. I'm talking about their fathers. We've got Scott Gilbert, we've got Scott Cash, and we got Dr. Nate Brennan all represented here. I don't have a question about Scott, I'm sorry, but I do have a question about Dr. Brennan. And I told Gabe that I was going to ask this question, and Nate's watching. He knew I was going to ask too. Has your dad ever told you the story about being recruited by Butch Jones?
I do know that he did get recruited by Butch Jones.
And I brought Lexi Buttram is sitting back here, and I asked her this last year when she was on, and probably this year too, because I know Nate likes to tell that story, and he probably regrets he ever mentioned it in front of me because now I always bring it up. But what I want to know is, we're not going to go rehash the whole story. It's kind of lost a little bit of its luster since Butch Jones is no longer at Tennessee. But does Nate Brennan watch Arkansas State just to keep up with how Butch Jones is doing?
No.
Not at all?
All Notre Dame. That's it. That's all he cares about.
Really? Does he watch Tennessee?
Only if it's like a primetime game.
He picked Tennessee to beat Florida this week.
That's probably the right move.
Tim Smith did not. We're going to get into that later. I don't know if it's the right move or not.
Really yet either one.
I got to tell you. All right, so Ben Gilbert, our First National Bank player of the game. And by the way, I should mention that Trophy Masters has got this T-shirt for our lineman of the game. So Cam Cash is going to get a T-shirt. Ben, you'll get something from First National Bank later on. And Gabe Brandon, you should get something for going 6 out of 6 passing off the bench. We got to work on that.
We got the win. That's the big thing.
That
right?
is a big thing. Absolutely. Yeah. All right, guys, thanks for joining us. Good luck at Polk County this Friday night. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we're going to switch to Sky High football and talk to Mason Acres. Welcome back to the Roundtable on the IH Sports Network, live from the C. Michael Lay Technology Center in Homewood as we get ready for hour number 2. I'm Ben Garrett. He's Tim Smith. Rick Keaton is back on, and we're joined now by Scott High sophomore Mason Acres, our First National Bank Player of the Week Friday night. And Mason, I got to tell you, you had a couple of big stops earlier in the game, but as that game got later, it's almost like you were playing angry. You tell me if I'm right or wrong, especially when Knox Central was trying to punch in that last touchdown, and they did wind up scoring.
Yeah.
But not from a lack of effort on your part. I mean, you were in the backfield over and over again down there on the goal line.
I mean, I was a little bit mad. I play better mad. I'd rather play mad.
Well, you got that look. You got the football look.
Yeah, he's just back there talking with his grandfather, and that's exactly what he told me. He says he plays better when he's mad. And so, I mean, I really believe that. And he's done a lot of stuff over the last year to improve as a football player, including putting on weight. He was a skinny little dude last year, and I think he probably weighs 25, 30 pounds more this season. And, Mason, you like to hit people. Am I wrong when I say that?
No, you're not wrong.
And your favorite side of the ball has been defense so far.
Yeah, I don't like offense.
What's the purpose of that?
Don't
Too much thinking? You don't get to deliver the hit as much.
Nope.
Your teammates, Mason Wellen should have been here tonight but he's in the JV game tonight.
Yeah, he's playing JV.
In the JV match at Scott High. But you and he as sophomores, especially in that second half, I thought you played real well and brought a little more maybe enthusiasm, a little more hit there. And you weren't going to let the other team win the second half. They ultimately did, but what did the coaches bring at halftime in the dressing room? What changes do they want to make defensively to try to slow Knox Central down? And personnel-wise, what changes was made in the second half?
Oh, we actually came up and hit somebody. We didn't back up. And Bill Hall got on us a little bit.
Just a little bit?
Quite a bit.
How about Coach Wright?
He didn't yell at us as much.
Okay,
Coach
well,
almost.
Well, on Thursday evening near the end of practice, he ripped the team pretty hard about lack of effort and a little lack of heart there. Is that, in your opinion, and I don't want to put you on the spot, is that something that we're still working on as a team to build the 11 players on the field at the same time, to bring that attitude, to want to go out there and win and whip the other team on each and every play?
Yeah, we're still working on that. We need more heart. We're just used to losing right now. We just gotta get that out.
So the Eagleton game, it was a big win. First time in 20 games, I think, is a big win. It appeared that everything was going real well for the Highlander team.
Yeah, it felt pretty good.
What's it like playing the monsters that you've played the last 2 weeks, the Clinton and the Knox Central? Bigger linemen, bigger backs. We didn't see it at Central, the skill of the quarterback, but we did at Clinton, a lot of skill from the quarterback and receivers there. What's it like to see this having to step up against the bigger, better, stronger teams?
It's different. We just need to compete with them. That's all that matters.
What upperclassman, junior, senior, or even it can be a sophomore, freshman, what 2 or 3 players do you think, you'd like to see contribute more to the team?
I don't even know. Probably, I think we're all trying our best out there.
Is there somebody that you really want to emulate or play like they do on the field?
What do you mean? Like,
play hard, whether it's Landon Griffith coming up in the secondary and tackling somebody hard, or is it I'm talking about that's a good leader on the team and somebody that you look up to as far as that leadership role?
Landon's a good leader. So is Tommy Fitzgerald. He's a real good leader. Then we got Alton. He's a good leader too.
Well, Tommy plays with, I've compared him several times. He plays with that 105% motor on most of the time.
Yeah, he does.
And you get to play in that defensive linebacker position with those guys. Are you still doing the package deal with the linebackers? It used to be Alton and Tommy. They were the, heavy, stronger senior linebackers than the other two. Are we still playing that, or is just we're settling down to get the 3 or 4 linebackers on the field, same 3 or 4 all the time?
I think we're just going to keep what we got in now, which is we got the same 4 in, which is like Landon, me, Tommy, and who else? And Alton. But Alton's hurt this week.
So we don't know his status for Friday's game yet?
I don't think he's playing, but I think Tommy's coming in at Mike linebacker.
Right.
And then I think Michael Bond is playing at star.
Okay. Which is the linebacker. That's the strong side, is it not?
Yeah.
Star.
Strong. It's more of a strong safety, I think, than a linebacker, but they play like a linebacker.
What do you look forward to the rest of your sophomore season? You've got 6 games to go. We play Kingston this week. Got an open date, and then to finish up with 5 games. What do you look most forward to the remainder of the season?
Just I hope we can win some more games. I hope we can get some more tackles.
That's your idea, and that's your goal to do that. Are the coaches working to bring the rest of the team in that same mindset?
Yeah. Some of them ain't in it yet, but we'll get there eventually.
I don't want to ask about the game plan, but I'm sure that you started putting the game plan in today for Kingston.
Yeah. They're more of a run team. They don't throw the ball a whole lot.
They have the wingbacks, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You don't know much, being a sophomore, and you probably haven't heard it, but you don't know much about the Kingston Scott High history.
Yep. I know we don't like them.
Well, that's, I was hoping somebody would say that. Kingston is the team that we have played the most football games against in our history, our 53-year history. I guess that has been, have the coaches told you that yet?
Yeah.
And that our record against Kingston is not superlative by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, we win 1 and they win 6, 8, 10, I guess they're like that. So have the coaches stressed that any this week about getting over that, not only our season hump, but getting over the hump with Kingston as we've got them at home in what now is a region game because we hadn't played Kingston the last 2 years.
I know Billy wants to beat them really bad. He said make him mad if we lost.
Well, our history's not great there during Billy's career, so that's for sure. But how are the coaches working with you and the rest of the defense this week? Which coach works with the linebackers and which coach works with the line and which coach works with the secondary?
We got Coach Golden works with the linebackers, and then I don't know really who works. It's different with the D line, the linemen, stuff like that. We're kind of working on our tackling because we didn't do good tackling against Knox. We did all right against Clinton. We just need to compete more.
Yeah, that was one of the things during the ball game the other night. I thought to myself, we're not tackling as well. For the first 3 games, I thought we'd done a commendable job of tackling. Certainly, we might have fallen off a little bit with Clinton, but then I just saw part of the Knox Central players. They were just twisting and stepping out of tackles that we had been making.
Yeah.
That's an area you feel the team can improve on?
Yes. I missed a lot of tackles too. I'm not gonna lie, but I was trying my best.
Did Coach Golan, did he call a different defensive game in the second half?
Yeah.
It seemed like he was sending linebackers more and everything.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. I think we went more of a 5-3 in that second half.
Right.
And it worked more against them because they were just running it. That's all they were doing. They barely threw it.
I don't think they threw well. They did not complete a pass in the first half if they attempted one.
They completed like 2 the whole game. I think that's all they completed.
You expect this week Kingston will be a run-first team, correct?
Yeah, that's what it looks like on film.
Guys, questions for Mason? Remember, we'll probably see him back here next year and the following year because I think he's a very dynamic defensive player.
I mean, I would just say one thing I mentioned earlier, just trying to string positives together. If Kingston gets that football first, they're a run-first team, what are you going to have to do to make sure the game starts off on a positive for the Highlanders?
We just got to hit them, set that tone for them.
Yeah.
We show them we're not scared of them. That's what they're going to try to do. They're just going to try to scare us. We just got to show them we're not scared.
I think Kingston probably watches scoreboards. You know, teams watch scoreboards, and I just feel like you might get a Kingston team that takes you a little lightly this week, and I hope you take advantage of that.
Yeah, we will if they do.
Yeah.
So, Mason, I got to say, you're just a sophomore. So, now by my count, you had at one point there in the fourth quarter, you were in the backfield making stops on 3 consecutive plays. So, some folks, you just being a sophomore, they've been looking down at the program saying, who's number 26? I'm going to tell you one guy that didn't have to look at his program. Harris Keaton watches a lot of Scott High practices, and he's been talking about what you can bring to the table. You kind of showed that. Excuse me. You kind of showed that on Friday night. Is that kind of we're going to see that every week out of you now, right?
Yeah.
That was kind of your coming out party.
Yeah. I'm just going to come up and try to compete. That's all I'm going to try to do.
All right. So congratulations on a good game Friday night. I know the result was not what the team wanted, but you did have a good game defensively, and good luck this Friday night against Kingston homecoming night on the farm. All right. And Rick mentioned, but Mason New Allen was our Trophy Masters player or lineman of the game, was unable to be here because he has got a JV game tonight. His mom told me, though, that he had really worked hard to get into the game in the fourth quarter, and he made the most of his opportunities. So we're going to get him on in a couple of weeks when we have that opportunity. Mason Akers, thank you for joining us. Good luck to the Highlanders on Friday night against Kingston. When we come back, we're going to talk to the Coonskin Crazies about what goes into the student section right after this. Welcome back to the Roundtable on the IH Sports Network. I'm Ben Garrett alongside of Rick Keaton. Tim Smith is taking a break, and we are joined by the student section leaders from Scott High School, Toby Garrett, Sky Babb. You guys are seniors. You guys are in charge of, I guess, the Coonskin Crazies this year, the pep club, unofficial pep club, whatever. I should mention there is a third person as well. Toby's sister is also a part of that. For whatever reason, she did not want to be here, Rick. I don't know what that says about us. Now, before we get started, and by the way, next week we're going to have on the leader of the Oneida student section. He doesn't know that yet, but if he's watching, he knows now. He's going to be here next week, hopefully, to talk about what goes into putting together a student section on Friday night. Now, we've got you guys here because this Friday night is homecoming for Scott High School. You guys need a big student section out there to help the Highlanders against the Kingston Yellow Jackets, big rivalry game for the Highlanders. So I know you guys kind of got thrust into this role this year a little bit unexpectedly. It's not like you were thinking, when I become a senior, I want to be in charge of the student section. But here you are. So, Sky Babb, let's start with you. What do you do to get kids out, to get your classmates out, get your friends out on Friday night to support the team?
I just feel like we got to yell at them a lot during school, and, most of them don't even want to be there. So we just got to, I don't know, just push it down their throats, I guess.
So backing up a couple of weeks ago, Scott High defeated Eagleton, the first win in a couple of years for the Highlander program, and the students were really into that game even before the rain started. Now, I know that y'all are teenagers and you're kind of a little bit crazy, and so when the rain and the thunder and the lightning come, y'all enjoy that for whatever reason. But even before we got to that point, you guys were fired up, and every one of the coaches talked about that, how they enjoyed the energy from the student section. What did you do that night to bring the energy to help the Highlanders get over the hump against Eagleton?
I don't think it's what we did, but I think we knew that we not had a chance because we always have a chance, I guess, but we knew we had like a big chance to win that game. Eagleton, obviously, it's their first year, so we had a bigger chance. So.
Now, Rick, I'm going to mention that the student section is a lot more organized than you might think. It's not something that's just thrown together. There is always a senior or multiple seniors who are kind of in charge of recruiting the kids to get out there, and then there is a teacher who oversees everything, because you can't just turn students loose with social media. They might do something crazy, right? Not saying these guys would, but one of them might. So Jacqueline Hamby, I'm going to throw her under the bus. She's the teacher that kind of oversees everything at Scott High School and is in charge of the Coonskin Crazies, and she's been on me for weeks about we got to feature the student section, and she's a very persuasive person. What can I say? Basically, she just texts and calls until you give in. So you guys 3 years ago, maybe, I don't remember how long it's been since Sawyer Roberts was at Scott High School. He kind of set the standard, and you guys were there as a freshman, I think, when he was still there. He set the standard for student sections at Scott High. And then Clayton Carroll, Rick mentioned him during the break. Clayton Carroll stepped into that role. So you guys have got big shoes to fill. Now, you're not going to be doing it in basketball like Clayton did last year. Somebody else is going to take over for basketball because you guys play basketball. But what are you going to do between now and then to kind of make your mark and to leave your legacy alongside of Sawyer Roberts and Clayton Carroll?
I guess we just try to strive to be like Clayton Carroll and Sawyer Roberts, I guess. Just try our best and hope we do good.
Now, Friday nights the festivities begin long before the game. You guys have a tailgate over at the museum. You've got face painting, you've got food, you got all that stuff going on. What time does it get started this Friday night against Kingston?
If the game starts at 7:30, it's 6. But if it starts at 8, then 6:30.
So it'll be 6 o'clock because the game's going to start at 7:30.
Yep.
Sky, what's your message to your fellow students at Scott High School? There are 750 plus, however many there are of you guys, and there ought to be at least 200 or 300 students out for that game on Friday. What do you say to the students to get them to turn out against Kingston?
Well, they better all be there and be super excited.
All right. So, Toby, last question. It's a close game coming down to the fourth quarter. Can the student section make a difference?
Yeah.
How?
Get loud.
Okay. How do you do that? Do you just rambunctious?
Yeah.
There's no coordinated cheers. You don't take cues from the cheerleaders or anything like that.
I mean, we have that do it cheer that we found on TikTok.
So okay. So here we go, guys. Right now, do it.
What? No.
Do it. Do it cheer.
I refuse. No.
There's no way that's happening.
But you do it as a game.
It's got to be the cheerleaders that
we
do it.
got to be in the moment.
We've got cheerleaders.
Yeah, you can get Macy to do it whenever she comes on.
All right.
Yeah.
Toby Garrett, Sky Babb, get the kids out there Friday night, and let's get the Highlanders to a win in a big rivalry game. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we will get the cheerleaders in here, and we'll pick some winners, Rick Keaton, for Friday night. Welcome back to the Roundtable on the IH Sports Network, live from the C. Michael Lay Technology Center in Helenwood, alongside of Tim Smith and Rick Keaton. I'm Ben Garrett, and we are joined by two junior cheerleaders from Scott High. We've got Macy Douglas, and from Oneida, we've got Addie Buttram. Guys, thank you, first of all, for joining us, and we're going to talk about cheerleading a little bit, and then we're going to see if you guys can help Tim and Rick replicate their success from last week. Tim Smith went 10-0 last week.
And Lauren Thompson helped me.
Lauren Thompson helped him.
Yep.
And so, Addie, not to put any pressure on you or anything, but when we pick the winners of this week's games here in a minute, there's something to live up to there. I don't know if Tim can go 10-0 for 2 consecutive weeks, so if he doesn't, we won't blame it entirely on you. But, guys, let's talk about this. First of all, I'm going to start with Macy, because, Macy, you're kind of I may be wrong, Addie. I think you've cheered the entirety of your high school career. You were a basketball player first.
Yeah.
And then you got into cheerleading. So what made you make that switch?
I don't know. I just really always liked cheer. My mom used to cheer, and I just wanted to be different and try something else than basketball.
So most moms, if they're cheerleaders, they like their daughters to kind of follow in their footsteps. Was your mom happy that you made that switch?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and by the way, we should mention that you were was it first runner-up or second runner-up at the Sevier County Fair Fair? Second runner-up. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Let me ask you, when you're cheering, this is your second year, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've been through one full football season, one through basketball season. Do you have a preference?
Football.
Football? There's something different about the Friday night lights.
Yeah, most definitely.
And Addie, I think you've cheered all 3 years of your high school years and maybe middle school before that. Am I right? So you've been through a lot of football seasons and a lot of basketball seasons. What's your favorite, football or basketball?
Football for sure.
What is it that sets football apart from basketball?
I don't really know. It's just more fun. Like basketball is 2 games, and that's too much for me. I can't do 2 games. 1 game for football.
Do you feel like, either one of you guys can answer this, do you feel like when you're in a football game or in a basketball game that you got like more focus on you? Because I feel like that's what I would think that way as a cheerleader. Like it would be basketball, everybody's kind of packed in together in that gym. And do you feel that way at all, or is it just you go out there and do your thing and don't pay attention to what's around you?
I mean, kinda. I don't think I really pay attention to it much, though.
All right, Macy, and you guys chime in whenever you want to, but Macy, I just asked these 2 guys up here a minute ago, Toby and Sky, if they take their cues in the student section from the cheerleaders. I know you're by nature, your job as cheerleaders is to lead the cheers and to get the crowd into the game. Do you feel like that you help do that, or do you feel like those students are ignoring you and they need to pay you more attention?
No, we most definitely do. We get them riled up for sure.
Okay, so talk about that interaction, not just with the student section specifically. What's that interaction like throughout the game?
They're pretty good.
Yeah.
Better than last year. We have a better section than last year for sure.
Now, are you giving credit to Toby and Sky at all, and Rachel?
Yeah.
Nah, I probably wouldn't give them too much credit. Oneida's got a good student section as well. Talk about your interaction with the Oneida kids and that student section.
Well, sometimes they don't really interact with us, so I wish they would more, but they're definitely getting to the point that they do more. So, yeah.
So do you have any specific cheers that it's kind of a go-to cheer that you use to kind of get the crowd into the game?
I mean, of course, they always do O-O-N-E with us. They really love that one, but sometimes they'll ask us to do different ones so they can do it with us.
Okay. Now, Macy, Scott High's got a signature cheer too. It's the Pow 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 cheer, and we've talked about this in the press box the last couple of weeks, and I meant to talk about it last week, and I forgot. Who came up with that cheer?
Kim Burke.
Do you know the story behind that?
No, she's told me, but I don't really remember.
That's really become a crowd favorite, and it's starting to show up on T-shirts. My little son's got a T-shirt that says "Pow Pow Pow" across the front of it. It's really become the signature thing for Scott High. Do you get in trouble when you go to, let's say, in the big city schools or whatever, and you walk in and you're doing a cheer about what is it, Rick? The frontier man with a gun in his hand?
Yeah.
Yeah, the rifleman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did the people? Does that kind of take them aback a little bit, or no?
Some people are kind of like, they give us a little bit of dirty looks, but I mean,
See, I
that's our
could see
cheer.
that. Yeah, and I like that cheer, by the way. I
Me
love
too.
it. It's just very catchy. All right, you guys got anything to add, or you want to jump into this?
I want to ask a question. Of course, for Scott High, Oneida had it last week. That was their homecoming week. This is their homecoming week. But in a typical week leading up to a football game, what's your favorite part of the week? Just getting to that point on Friday night. Is it practicing with your other cheerleaders? Is it doing the banners? Is it doing something different? What's your favorite part of the week?
I'd have to say practicing and getting ready for the game, coming up with new dances and new cheers to do. That's probably my favorite part.
Okay.
I'd say I really like doing the run-throughs. I have a lot of fun doing that because I do help draw it out, but that'd probably be my favorite part.
Okay. I do have one question for you, Macy. Do you critique because as fans, a lot of times, whether you're in the booth like Rick and I are, or if you're in the bleachers, whatever, you tend to critique the players and say they could have done this or that better. Do you critique the quarterback play at all?
Sometimes.
And how does that go over?
Me and Braylon, we talk a lot.
Let's extend that question a little bit here. During the course of the game, are your eyes on the football player in the football field, or on with the rest of the cheerleaders facing the student section and the crowd? Which do you sneak around and do the most?
Definitely look at the field. I'm constantly.
Okay.
It's bad.
All right, so
No, you got to know what's going on in the game. That's not bad. That's fine.
So we're going to talk about this week's games, and I know you guys probably know nothing about the teams across the rest of the region or what, but that's okay because Lauren Thompson last week didn't know anything about those other teams, and she sat here and helped Tim to a 10-0 week.
You don't know that.
No, I'm pretty
Well,
confident.
they know exactly what they're talking about.
Last week, you let her select all the picks
That's
first.
what I did.
That's exactly right.
I'm not trying to put pressure on you, Addie, but I just feel like that Tim needs all the help he can get sometimes because he's listening to Mark and John L. on Friday nights, and if anybody can steer you wrong when it comes to football, it's those guys. So we've got a lot of region games this week, so our schedules are a little bit shorter than what they were last week. We've actually got 3 games on each side, and let's start with Oneida's going down to Polk County. I'm not going to ask Tim Smith who's going to win because he would pick Oneida no matter what he thinks, and you would probably do the same as a cheerleader, but I am going to ask Tim to start us off by telling us what Oneida does have to do to beat Polk County.
Well, they have to play defense like they did. In the second half and in really the late second quarter in that. And, Caden was here watching his teammates that were up here tonight. I really liked that he came down here and did that. And I asked him, I said, Caden, am I right? He said, I thought it was over. And he came back out and played like he thought it was over. So I think we're in good shape.
And so Polk County got a district win, a region win last week against Tellico Plains. It was 40-7. Of course, Oneida got the 33-18 win over Wartburg. So both of these two teams are 1-0 in the region. The winner of this game will be in the driver's seat for now for the opportunity to host a playoff game in November. I've already said you're probably not going to pick against Oneida, but I want to hear you say it. Who do you think is going to win on Friday night?
I mean, we've not played Polk County as long as I've been cheering, but I'm going to say Oneida.
Do you think the long road trip will make a difference at all?
I think it could,
Okay.
just because it's pretty far.
Okay. So how about you, Macy? Oneida or Polk County? Who do you want?
I'm gonna say Polk County.
Oh, wow! Right off the bat, I like that. I like that. Okay, so let's go the other way. Rick, Scott High's got Kingston on Friday night. Kingston coming off of that 70-point performance against Union County on Friday night. What does Scott High have to do to slow down Kingston and get a win?
Well, I go back to something Tim said a couple of weeks ago when Kingston was playing Meigs County. And Tim said, well, they haven't played anybody. Meigs County's good. Well, for us to have success, we are taking on their offense that's a wing T offense. You don't see it very much. You might see it 1 or 2 times a season. And if you got a good quarterback and, it's very deceptive. You have to figure out who's carrying the ball. So we have to be able to determine the ball carrier and try to extend plays to the sideline, try to make the tackles there. Other than that, if we can stop them there, I feel that we may be able to enforce our will just a little bit, our offensive line. I feel we're due to get back to some good blocking, and I feel that our backs are capable if we give them the holes and the opportunity for Landon, if he gets time, and our receivers do what I think they can do. I feel that we can move the ball through the air too.
All right, Macy, how about it? Can Scott High get to win against Kingston Friday night?
Of course.
Absolutely. All right, now, Addie, here's your chance to fire back. Scott High and Kingston. It's a big rivalry game for the Highlanders. Who you got?
I kind of feel obligated to say Scott High, but I'm going to go Kingston.
Okay. So
let me say this right here. For Scott High fans, we think it's a rivalry game. Kingston doesn't think it's a rivalry game because they've dominated over the course of time. So, you got to put in perspective for us. It's another ball game. Let's go out and play hard.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that sentiment. As for Kingston, I think I would disagree. I think they very much consider it a rivalry game. I think they do. At least in the other sports. And maybe football not so much, but definitely other sports. All right, Tellico Plains and York Institute. Tellico Plains came out, Tim, and they thumped Eagleton to start the season, put up 49 points, but since then it's kind of gone off the rails for them just a little bit. They've lost 3 straight since then. They've got to go up to Jamestown this week and face an undefeated York Institute team. Tough challenge.
What are you thinking, Eddie?
What are you thinking, Tim?
Oh.
I'm thinking York.
We're thinking York.
Okay, thinking York. Rick, York or Tellico Plains?
I think York.
York, I would agree. It's going to be York over Tellico Plains. I would say it's going to be York big on Friday night. So we're in agreement on that one. Bledsoe County will be coming up to play Wartburg on Friday, and this is maybe a potential play-in game for the playoffs. Both of these two teams off to an 0-1 start in district play. Tim, Bledsoe County, Wartburg, what do you think?
Alphabetically, who would you choose?
Oh, my gosh.
I'm going to go Bledsoe.
I agree.
So, good. Yes, she was on top of that. B comes before W.
Yep.
So, way to drop the hint. What do you think, Rick?
Let me go through the alphabet right here. I think Bledsoe.
I got
Macy,
Tim.
you going to go with Rick?
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen Rick's performance in the Pigskin Pick'em panel so far? It's not that great.
I thought I did real well last week.
There's no need to be like
Tim
that.
is leading this thing, so Addie is pretty safe over here. We're going with whatever Tim thinks. I don't know if you're as safe going. You better think about that. Look back at Landon and see what he thinks.
And it won't hurt my feelings whatsoever.
I'm kidding, Rick. Okay, Rick is doing better than I would do. Alcoa on the road this week against Austin East. Rick Keaton. It's been a rough start to the season for the Roadrunners. They're 0-4. Alcoa is Alcoa, of course. They're 3-0. This is their first district game. Actually, the first district game for both of these two teams. Do I even need to ask the question, Alcoa or Austin East?
Alcoa had a little bit of a challenge at Greenville. Alcoa will come back with a vengeance.
I think
this week.
7-7 when that game was called due to lightning. I think it was still in the first quarter.
And remember, Alcoa, they were behind 7-0 and intercepted a pass, a Greenville pass, at the 3-yard line and just walked in for the tying score there. So I think Alcoa will have a real vengeance in mind against Austin East.
Macy, Alcoa, or rather Austin East, has got a fantastic basketball player. He's a point guard. His name is Cherry. Oneida's going to see him this year. They're in the same district together. That's for November and December and January. But anyway, they moved him to quarterback. They thought they had found something. They put up 51 points against South Dole. But then last week they got clobbered against Gatlinburg. Gatlinburg beat them 53-14. This week they got to play Alcoa. What do you think? Alcoa or Austin East?
Alcoa.
Alcoa.
All right. Well, wait a minute. Remember what I told you guys about Gatlinburg-Pittman last week? I said they would come back with a vengeance, and they did.
And they did.
Yeah.
So what do you think over here on this side of the table?
I think Alcoa has to deal with the basketball player Cherry at Austin East. And so Austin East better not run him too much because Alcoa may decide to take care of their basketball season too. Yeah. Who do you think, Addie?
I'm going Alcoa.
Yes, absolutely.
Alcoa. Well, all right, we're all in agreement on that one. And the last game this week is Union County at South Green, and this is not a non-region game. Union County looked okay through a couple of games. Then they ran into Kingston last week, and that was a disaster. Kingston put up 70 points on them. South Green's always tough. They're coming into this game undefeated. How do you like in that game?
I think I may have picked South Green.
I don't have it in front of me, but I think you did.
And I'll stay with that. So.
All right, how about it, Macy? Can Union County get a win, or is it going to be South Green?
South Green.
South Green. How about this side of the table?
South Green.
South Green.
South Green. I would agree with you all again.
Lock it in.
Yeah, we're all in agreement on most of these. All right, last one. Now, this is not a high school game, but this is a big game. Tennessee on Saturday goes down to Florida. We all know Tennessee struggled against Austin East, but Florida's not got the greatest team they've ever had either. What do you guys think? I'm going to start with the cheerleaders on this one. Macy, I don't know if you're a Tennessee fan or not. You kind of strike me as someone who might be a Florida fan. You're not a Florida fan, are you?
No.
Okay, are you a Tennessee fan?
Yeah, sort of.
Sort of. Okay. Friday night, Saturday afternoon. Sorry. Tennessee or Florida?
I'll say Tennessee.
You don't sound too confident. Are you any more confident in that? Are you a Tennessee fan?
Yeah.
Tennessee can beat Florida on Saturday?
Yes, they can.
All right. Tim, what do you think?
They can. They have the capability.
You didn't consult with him before you made that pick, obviously.
I just don't believe they will.
He took his notes away from me.
I did.
So you picked Florida.
I want her to pick Tennessee because she's going to go undefeated, and I'm gonna be the one that takes the L when Florida does not beat Tennessee. I hope I'm wrong.
Rick, I think you picked Tennessee in that game. Am I wrong?
Yeah, but I don't have a whole lot of confidence in that pick. But I did pick Tennessee, and I guess I'll float my boat down to Gatorland. We'll see.
Guys, I got to be honest with you. If I were picking, I'm not picking. I'm just sitting here. It's easy for me to criticize y'all because I don't make picks. I would go with Tim Smith. I think Florida's going to beat Tennessee. Tennessee didn't look very impressive to me Saturday.
Why should things change?
Yeah, we've gone down to Gainesville a lot with the more talented team, and Florida's found a way to win. All right, so last question before we let you guys go and we get to our legend of the game, and I'll start with you, Addie. Oneida at Polk County on Friday night. I asked Tim Smith what Oneida had to do to Polk County. I didn't ask you. What does Oneida have to do to go get the region win on Friday?
I think they just got to work together, listen to each other, not get defeated if they are losing.
Okay. Sounds like good advice. Enjoy that long road trip on Friday. I got to say, I'm kind of glad it's not me making that trip. That's a long haul down to Benton. Macy, Scott High hosting Kingston this week for homecoming. What does Scott High have to do to beat the Yellow Jackets?
They just need to play harder and be tougher, honestly.
All right. Good luck both this week to the Indians and to the Highlanders. Macy Douglas and Addie Buttram, thank you guys for joining us. We're going to take a break. When we come back, Logan Stevens will join us, former Oneida Indian and University of the Cumberland's Patriot, as our legend of the game. Welcome back to the Roundtable on the IH Sports Network, coming to you live from the C. Michael Lay Technology Center in Helenwood. Got to thank Trophy Masters for the set decorations that you see here. Got to thank Baby J's Pizza for the pizza that they provided that unfortunately, guys, is all gone now. All these players and cheerleaders in here took care of that. I hope you guys ate supper before we got started. Got to thank Greg Bond and the Scott County School System for hosting us tonight. Real quickly before Tim takes off with our legend of the game, Let me thank our sponsors of the Roundtable, and those include First National Bank, Twin K Construction, Baby J's Pizza, Plateau Drug Center and Scott County Pharmacy, Rayzax, Mark's Family Pharmacy, El Rey, South Fork Physical Therapy, Tommy's Motorsports, Lori Phillips Jones, and Mountain People's Health Councils. And Tim, I'll let you do the introduction here because you know a lot more about his background. All I know is I told him that I feel like he's played at University of the Cumberlands forever. High school seems like an eternity ago for Logan Stevens.
Got a little of that COVID extra time in there, but Logan from a family of athletes. I mean, I've gotten to see Micah, Sister Micah played basketball, was dominant.
Don't give her too much credit.
Yeah, well, no. She was dominant in basketball and a fiery attitude. If you could keep her off 5 fouls, that was a great thing. And then Logan fiery in high school football. And then I was asking about little sister. I know your little sister was a very good softball player. Didn't realize it had been some time ago as time slips by. But you guys all had 3 different sports, and you all excelled in those 3 different sports. And so I'll ask you, where did that come from?
My mom was, I ain't going to give her too much credit either, but she was a basketball player for Sky High. But, you know, it's just, it's always ran in the family how we've always liked sports. You know, I've just raised up, you know, always in the yard, never really not had a ball in my hand, either on a basketball goal or baseball. That's my favorite sport all around. So, but other than that, it's just always been in my life, in my blood, so.
And, I mean, football is what you excelled the most at because that's what you went collegiately to play. But, I mean, you're an outstanding basketball player for Oneida, too, big presence in the paint. And so, you know, sometimes the wins weren't there during those years. But you know, the football definitely went pretty good. From 2014 to 2017, you were in there. Coach Tony Lambert was there the whole time you were there. Talk about the football culture. Talk about being coached by Coach Lambert in high school and what you remember most about that.
I just remember the camaraderie that we had as a team. You know, we always went out there and played, and we always played our butts off. I mean, you know, we not always won every game, but, you know, we was out there and we had that distinct we had PCC. You know, we had pride, class, and character, so we always went out there and played hard. So, but that's what I remember from it. I always took that with me. I take that with me every day in life. I try to go every day as a good person, a good man, you know, hopefully in the future a good father, like he always told us.
So now the first part you talked about haven't always been out in the yard with the football. What is your first football memory, whether it's watching football, playing football? What was it?
I think it came back to middle school whenever we had this thing in 6th grade called House of Pain.
Okay.
Coach Dan King put us through it, and I didn't know if I liked football at the time.
Now, he was assistant.
Yeah, he
in
was.
the middle school, right?
Mm-hmm.
And head coach was Heath Sexton?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tell them what House of Pain is.
I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's something they put the 6th graders through whenever the older guys are in the weight room, and we're in there doing 10 sets of 10. Like 10 sets, he goes 10, 9, 8 push-ups, and then he turned to sit-ups, and then you start doing locker stuff. And I didn't think it was for me at the time, and, you know, I was a kid that was just coming off the couch. You know, I was never really in that. I never played storm football, so I was always like that. I was like, oh, man, is this for me? So
what do you think drove you to fight through that urge to say, no, this is not me? What caused the change in that?
I think I had teammates, you know. They were always pushing me through, even though they thought I was faking sometimes. But, you know, I always thank my teammates for always pushing me through something and keeping me in it.
Okay. So middle school, pretty successful years?
3 straight.
3 straight state championships for the middle school level. And you all were running the Nebraska Cornhusker offense for Coach Sexton?
Heck, I don't know what it was. I never could tell where it was, and I knew to play.
So where did you line up?
I was usually the pulling guard. He's the right guard beside the center, and he's a pulling guard. So I could always move. So he put me at the pulling guard position and got me around the line. And then we had a couple injuries in my 8th grade year, so I moved to power tackle. So it's a little foreign to people.
So did you ever do anything but line? Was that all you ever played was the line?
My 8th grade year, he needed a linebacker, and we was up by big, and he didn't know I ran out there. So I ran out there, and I did all right. Then he thought I did all right enough to put me out there the next week against Eagleton whenever they was just a middle school, and absolutely played the worst game of my life. He switched me at halftime.
So experiment was over.
It was done.
All right. So pretty much offensive line has been your life. And do you feel like that offensive line has gotten more recognition through the years, or is it still just?
I like how we're doing the alignment of the game now. It's really puts a distinct focus on them. You know, gives them something to play for. You know, you shouldn't be playing for accolades as an offensive lineman. You want to go out there and protect somebody and not get somebody hurt. You know, keep that quarterback's jersey clean. You know, that's just how I've always been. I've never been the type to not want to play offensive line because, you know, it's like not that, but because I always play defensive line too. So, but other than that, that's all.
Usually if a lineman is brought up, it's usually a mistake, a penalty. I mean, really, that's kind of what it is, right?
That's the truth.
Yeah, I mean, you do have pancake blocks and things like that. And of course, we've got Mark. Mark played the line, so he recognizes some of these things. He was really excited about Cam Cash's play on Friday night.
Too.
Okay, and so now that leads me. You've been working with some of these guys. Tell me about this Sonata offensive line you've been able to spend some time with.
I've tried my best to come around and, you know, just give some knowledge that I have. But as a guy that, you know, played sports, if a guy like me, like where I don't get to come all the time, you know, I'll try not to say too much because I wouldn't respond to that really well. So. But I try to go in there and, like, they'll come up to me and ask me sometimes, and I'll try to give them a little heads up, you know. But, yeah, I mean, they're young. They're really young.
Right.
And I can see that in their play, their feet, their hands. So they've got a long way, and they're going to be pretty stout in the next couple of years.
So you're hoping to not just be drift in every once in a while, though, maybe get a little more solid time with them. That'd be a good thing, right?
Yeah, that would be really good.
Who was, besides Coach Lambert being the head coach, who was your position coach? Who made the biggest difference in your line play in high school, middle school time?
See, I had two O-line coaches and D-line coaches, three. I had Coach Robert Wright. He coached me for my first 2 years, and then I got Coach Billy Barnhart. He came in my junior and senior year, and then Coach Jim Birchfield. He's one that lights a fire under you if you want to.
Still doing it.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, at the middle school. That's three pretty good names to throw out there. What can you nail it down to kind of what was it that they were able to tell you that you wish you had known all along? Was there something that kind of turned a light bulb on that made you a better offensive lineman? That something they preach? Maybe they all three preach the same thing, or just what is the key to being good enough to continue to pursue and move to the next level?
Feet. You got to have good feet. Obviously, the physical aspects come with it, but if you've got good feet and you can move fairly well, you're going to be pretty successful at it.
So when you say that, like, I mean, not to get too specific for people, but what does that mean? I mean,
not be able to, like, stumble over yourself, you know, be able to take those right steps, take those right angles, you know, it just comes with the game sometimes. It's
not as easy as when people yell, block.
Yeah,
you know, they think it's just block.
People understand, like, block, block, block. Yeah, it ain't that easy. You know, there's another 300-pound man in front of you. You get out here and do it. I mean,
I know you didn't mean to point at me. Now, listen, so in high school, who was somebody that was just the biggest pain to have to deal with on those other teams?
This guy ended up being one of my teammates as an offensive lineman, and his name was Johnny Carroll for Cofield.
Yeah.
And I think of him as a good friend of mine, and he really helped us out my sophomore year. But on the skill side of the ball, it has to be Parker McKinney. Every sport I played, he was always there and never really let up. So
yeah, just a gifted. Yeah. Has everything, right?
Yeah.
Took Kentucky to a good game this weekend with EKU.
I can see that.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me your number. What was your number?
70.
And why? How'd you get 70?
See, I wanted 56 because I had that in middle school, but 70 was given to me. TL didn't take no lip from it, so he never gave.
He didn't ask if you wanted it.
He said, "Here, have it." But somebody had 56, but so.
So when you went on to the University of Cumberland, did you keep 70?
Yeah, I just kept it. They ended up just throwing it at me too because they knew I was number 70. They didn't really ask me if I had a preference or not. So
they were good with it? Mm-hmm. All right. So what was the biggest difference in going from the high school level to that collegiate level? What was the biggest learning curve, the thing that – I mean, you got on the field pretty quick though, right?
Yeah, I started as a freshman.
Yeah. So, I mean, what was it you did well that got you on the field there?
To be honest, I couldn't tell you. I showed up to practice every day and just busted my butt. You know, I had my welcome to college football moment pretty quick. against somebody that was really good at defensive end. So I really just learned from that. Just learned and just kept going. I went 100% every day.
So you're at the University of Cumberland. You're playing college football, and then all of a sudden, one year, you have Coach Lambert back in your life. What was that like?
He let me know about it if I ever lost a block in practice, but I let him know about it if I demolished one of his defensive linemen like he did. So it was always a back and forth thing, and I always respect Coach Lambert. So
was it like a gift to have him back for a year to just have that familiarity, or
you could say that?
Yeah. Gag gift.
No. It's not something I would recommend.
Yeah. I'm
just kidding.
No, it's just different, right?
Yeah.
It was a completely different.
Yeah. I didn't have to worry about it. He's on defense.
Okay. All right. Now, superstitions. A lot of football players have superstitions. Did you have any?
I wore the same. I don't know if I say this on. I wore the same color underwear every game.
Okay.
I mean, it's just I go out and do my walk on the field, and if I don't do that, I just don't feel right. Every away game, I couldn't get there, but.
So you just felt off if you didn't have your routine. More than superstition, it's routine.
Yeah.
Okay. So did you have any teammates that had superstitions that you thought, man, that's just?
I never paid attention. I was always just in the
focused.
zone. I never really.
Did you? They go around with the earbuds now. Did you do that? Did you have focus music? Anything you listened to when you were warming up?
Yeah, everybody gets on to me, but I listen to country music whenever I'm working out or just getting in before a game. So it really calms me down and focuses me up. So.
Particular artist?
Zach Bryan.
Zach Brown. All right.
Zach Bryan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy, have I got a story for you. We got a cameraman that paid over $800 to Zach Bryan tickets. You didn't pay that much though. Okay, we'll move on. Okay, what about rival in high school? Who was the team that was the rival that you guys wanted to make sure you beat? Cofield.
I think that should be every Oneida kid's thing is Cofield. I know they have the upper hand against us lately, but it started with us in junior year. So.
What about up at the Cumberlands? Was there a rival?
Oh, it was Union, but after we beat them 98-0, it kind of changed the focus towards Lindsey Wilson.
Okay. So
throw shots.
Were you taking it easy? Was that extra? Were you at 91 and thought, let's do one more?
I played 2 drives. I don't really know.
Okay. All right. Any coaches that you remember from high school from other teams? Did any coaches get on to you or say anything to you because you were dominating? I mean, and maybe you're driving somebody down near the other sideline. Anybody get on to you?
There was one coach. I don't remember what team it was, but he said something to me, and I probably fired something back at him that I probably don't remember. So.
Is he still coaching?
I don't know.
Okay.
I can't remember.
We won't call him out. All right. What about watching the Indians now? What's it like? You don't have any control, and you're just watching them play, and I know you're wishing you could. I see Mark sometimes. It's like he wants to go down there or try to telepathically get something across to him from the press box. What's that like?
I think that second half they came out and played with fire. If they can just start out from snap number 1 with fire, I think they'll be great. I think they lack the consistency of being wound up to be able to play. It shouldn't. I heard one of the kids earlier say, "Oh, if these guys get going, we're going." Mm-hmm. What if those guys don't get going? What if they're not playing that game? You got to be that guy. You got to step up yourself. So, I think they just need to get some more fire about them. Get some more care into the program. I ain't seen that much lately. So,
would you want to be a head coach one day?
No.
No?
I don't think I could handle it.
If this was your locker room, Indians are getting ready to hit the field against Polk County Friday night, just a couple of lines that you give them right now, if they were sitting out there and you said, listen.
I don't. I really.
That's not your thing?
That's not me. I'm not a big motivational guy. I'll rip into you if you do bad, but.
Is it impressive, the guys that can do that, like Coach Lambert?
I stutter. I don't know how I haven't stuttered yet, but if I'm fired up, I'll miss words, like I just did. But but no, it's other than that. Coach Lambert was a very good speaker before a game. My new coach this past year was Coach House. He was really, really well spoken. He really got you fired up too. So that's really.
And they make it look easy.
Yeah.
It's a gift for them, right?
Yeah.
I got a couple more questions. I'm going to give these guys a chance if they got anything they want to ask Logan.
I'd like to ask Logan your advice to a high school player right now that probably has some aspirations that they'd like to play at college level, what advice would you give them as to preparing the body, preparing the mind, what they need to do to have this opportunity at the next level?
Just keep working. Just don't take any days off. But I mean, I ain't got much, but I just know that I worked my butt off to get where I was. You know, I had a knee surgery, so it really brought me back to be able to want to get back. So that's just keep working. No, just don't let up.
I saw you play 2 or 3 games at Cumberland's, and matter of fact, I think I was at one game your freshman year up there, and I was
Reinhardt.
Yeah, well, as a matter of fact, it was Reinhardt that year. And the thing I noticed between the high school level and even to the Cumberlands and the Reinhardts and the Unions, the difference in the speed of the game, it's a zip.
You got guys that can run a 4.3, 4.4 at defense end, and you got to get out there quick. So, yeah, that's probably one of my worst games because they had 4 All-American defensive linemen. And I held up, but it was 2 of my 4 sacks I ever allowed. So,
only 4 sacks in a career. A plus.
No wonder you were playing from freshman year. Yeah. I mean, really.
So I got a comment and a question. My comment would be, you talked about you had no desire to be a head coach. I kind of see a lot of Heath Sexton mannerisms in you. Am I wrong about that? Can you see Heath Sexton there a little bit?
I mean, it might be lineman mannerisms. It might be,
maybe.
But yeah, definitely.
He's had a big step in my career too. I've talked to him a lot.
So my question would be, most kids that go off to college and play ball, they don't stick with it for 4 years. And you stuck with it. Not only did you stick with it for 4 years, you stuck with it for 5 years. And I think, and I'm just going by what I read on Twitter, maybe you didn't know for sure if you were going to come back your 5th year after the coaching change, but you did. So you played 5 years of college ball. And I think the reason most kids don't stick with it is it's a lot more glamorous on paper than it actually is. Talk about the life of a student athlete in college.
You're there 2 to 4 weeks before any student gets there. So that's usually what gets them because they don't have no interaction with anybody but the football team. I've never had any problems with that. I don't really care to be around people. But you're up 6 o'clock in the morning, you're 6 to 9, 10 o'clock every day. You're working your butt off 2 a days, workouts, meetings. People they get in there and they get really overwhelmed. Really overwhelmed. I've seen it happen. They ain't the big dogs on campus no more. They get in there and they're like, I went there, I was this. Well, show me. I had to show it. I went in there, I was with a bad taste in my mouth, I wanted to go to Tennessee Tech. That's where I had it, and they dropped my offer. But I went in there with a bad taste in my mouth that I was going to show whoever was in that position that I was going to get put at that I wanted it. So I see a lot of people that get in there and they see somebody, had a 1,000-yard season. And then they're like, they get discouraged. What if that cat gets hurt? So about all.
So I'm going to ask you just a couple more things. One, the different styles of offense that are going on right now, being an offensive lineman. So Oneida's going to be in the shotgun spread Friday night when we go down to Polk County. Polk County is going to line up in the wing tee. Just from pure offensive lineman play standpoint, which would you rather be in? Or does it make a difference? That's just my question.
I went from running the ball a lot in high school, and I really got to that pass setting, and I kind of like the pass set. I like to impose my will on a pass set, but obviously as an offensive lineman, you want to run the ball. You want to have that burden on your back. If we ain't running the ball, it's on us. So I'd rather run Oneida's offense.
All right. So I don't know if y'all know, but Mark Matthews is Logan's agent. He got us connected here. That's why Logan's here tonight. Mark Matthews made this interview happen, and I appreciate that. So a shout out to Mark.
You admitted an affiliation with Mark Matthews in public?
I asked for the address here, and he gave me his home address, so I might go there for dinner later. But no, I've known Mark for a long time. He's a really good person. he's taught me through high school, so I go to him for mess around with him. So he has something on me I don't really.
So
I'll never talk about again.
So you guys are both linemen. So and I, Mark and I would watch games. That's how we kind of taught ourselves to call games, and we taught what not. We did what we shouldn't do because we weren't really like the professional announcers, but we kind of backed off of that a little bit. But some things I hear said a lot about offensive linemen, and just a couple of them I wanted to ask you about. Does it bother you when they talk about the big uglies? Why do they call linemen big uglies?
I mean, heck,
we're
you're
good
ugly
with
and
it?
we're big. We're ugly and we're big.
So do you like that? Is it tough? It's a tougher sound. It's
I like
okay.
it. I mean, I think it gives us a good nickname, instead of something else.
Okay, something that's okay. Gotcha. Yeah, it's better than other options, right? Okay, here's the other one that I hear all the time, and they're all the time saying, if you just, when the ball's loose, if you knew what was going on at the bottom of that pile, the things that go on at the bottom of the pile, and they just talk about that all day. What goes on at the bottom of the pile, Logan? Can you tell us on TV?
Probably not live, no.
No.
It's pretty bad.
Have you had some of your worst football experiences at the bottom of the pile?
Yeah.
Well, we don't, we're still in prime time, so I guess we probably shouldn't go into too much detail. But everything they say is true.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, and more.
Anything goes, bottom of the pile.
I'm usually the one trying to do something. So.
Logan Stevens, Oneida legend of the game, just an outstanding lineman, both sides, really good basketball player. We, the W's weren't there so much, but it wasn't for lack of trying. And so thank you, Logan, for coming up and visiting with us this week. And thank Mark for getting you here with us. And best of luck. I think we'll whoever has you coaching them is going to be thankful for it and better off as a player and a person. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Logan, it has been fun watching you. Almost as much fun as watching Micah play back in the day.
I always told her I was going to beat her in points, but I quit halfway through my junior year.
Oh, there you go. So you were on pace to do that?
I was.
Okay. All right. Logan Stevens, former Oneida Indian and University of the Cumberland's Patriot. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. That's going to do it for us from the C. Michael Lake Technology Center in Helenwood. We want to thank Greg Bond and the Scott County School System for hosting us, Leetta Boyd for her help, Trophy Masters for the set decorations, Baby J's Pizza for the pizza, all of our sponsors, and especially all the student athletes who joined us tonight. Remember, Friday night, Oneida at Polk County, Scott High hosting Kingston. Our broadcasts begin with the Baby J Pizza pregame report at 6:30, and we'll see you right back here at the C. Michael Lake Technology Center next Monday at 6 o'clock for another edition of the Roundtable. Thanks for joining us, and good night.